start with the prayer. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhusya Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Amadeva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Gurudeva Deva. Hari Om. We started where the student goes to a teacher and poses the question. Essentially, a prepared student and advises tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva abhigachet. For that knowledge, you approach a teacher. So don't directly go and study the scriptures, because it will be completely confusing, as though you're trying to find a path in the forest. Unless you have a guide, you cannot find a proper direction. You will be going around and round and round. In the same way, scriptures can help you only provided it's taught properly, because most of the language is mystic language and you get more confused than if you study ourselves. So even the scripture itself advises, don't come to me directly, approach a teacher. And Krishna also says, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya. So approach a teacher who is a wise person and ask appropriately. And in the Vivek Chudamani, we posed that last time we discussed the student who prepared mind and approaches and asks the question. And the way the question is posed shows that he is well prepared and he has condensed the question in a cryptic way so that he could easily ask, so that the teacher knows that by very question itself, the teacher knows the student has prepared and thought about the problem, and therefore he is posing things that he needs to know. So in this, the student asks in this text, it says, Ko nama bandhaha katamesha agataha katam pratistasya katam vimokshaha. So the first line essentially talks about what is bondage, and Ko nama bandhaha katam, how did it come, katam agataha, and katam pratishtha, how did it get firmly abiding, established, because we are spending life after life after life trying to solve this problem, and therefore it is firmly rooted, and this bondage, and therefore, how did it get deep-rooted like that? And katam pratishtaha, and katam vimoksha, how do we get liberated or free from this bondage? So all the four questions are related about the bondage itself. And kosavanatma paramakahatma. So therefore, it says kosavanatma paramakahatma tayor vivekaha katam etad uchatam. So what is anatma, what is atma, and what's the difference between the two? How do we differentiate these two are the questions. So there are 7 questions posed, and the first 4 questions are related to the bondage, and the next 3 questions are related to the atma anatma vicharam. And the teacher they appreciate the student because the questions were cryptic and very to the point, and that means the student is very well prepared, and therefore he appreciates the question. So the teacher also appreciates the question is very challenging also, and in that he is going to address first what is the bondage and how do we get liberated. So the first question is talked about liberation itself, because when you are bound, first thing you know is there a method for liberation? Then we can ask the question and everything else. So the teacher assures that yes, you can get liberated. How? Because this by knowledge. What is the knowledge? This is essentially Atma. Says Atma, the Brahma Atma Aikya Bodhena. So na yogena na sankhyena karmana nona vidyaya Brahmatma Aikyatva Bodhena. Only by the identity relation between the self that I am and the Brahman, the total universe, are one and the same. That teaching alone will liberate. It's not just knowing alone myself or knowing Ishvara or knowing the whole world, but I also need to know that I am the essence of the whole universe also. Then only I am full. Because what I am looking for is absolute, uninterrupted happiness. I am not looking for Brahman, I am not looking for happiness, I am not looking for going somewhere or doing something, but I want to be happy. And all my pursuits, as we discussed, is pravritti or vrutti, trying to go after things or getting rid of things are meant to gain this happiness. And I found out that I can never get happiness through any process, because any process is limited and only they can give me a limited happiness, but I want absolute, uninterrupted happiness. I can get that kind of happiness only I can become infinite, or I gain infinite. If I gain everything in the whole universe, that means universe itself, then I am full. I have no more because I have everything. Therefore, that alone becomes a happiness. But how am I going to gain the whole universe? By a process. Because any process are limited, the finite only give you finite result. I want infinite. That is Brahman. That is totality I want. Totality cannot be gained. So here is the pursuit. I want it, but at the same time I can never gain it, because by any process I cannot get infinite. But at the same time, the teacher is assuring that you can become Sabhav by knowing that you don't need to go after, because you are already full. So Brahma Atma Aikya Bodhena, by knowing that I am already full, with that knowledge, then all my pursuits, even seeking fullness or seeking happiness, ceases, because I am already full. So question is, I am already full means limitless alone is Anandam. With any limitations causes suffering. Therefore, uninterrupted happiness means I had to be infinite. A finite cannot become infinite. That is mathematically illogical, unless I am already infinite. If I am already infinite, then I don't have to become infinite. I had to recognize that I am already infinite. Therefore, moksha or freedom that I am longing for is not anything, it is infiniteness that I am. Therefore, scripture, even the Viveka Chudamani says, Brahmatma Aikyatva Bodhena. Brahman means infinite, Atma, the self, Aikyam means they are one and the same. That Bodha alone will give you moksha nasiddhati. Like, otherwise, you will never get any. So therefore, no process will give you, na karmana na prajaya dhanena. So none of the process, by either having an action, because action being a finite will not give you infinite result. So therefore, not by process, not by action, and not by any other means, na dhanena, na prajaya, now by prodigy, I am not going to be absolutely happy. How I had to become? I had to recognize that I am infinite. If I am already infinite, why I don't know? That is the problem. The problem is that I do not know that I am already infinite. That means I am already liberated. What I am looking for? Liberation. What is the solution? Recognize that I am already liberated. If I am already liberated, then why I am still looking for it? That is the problem. If I already keys in my pocket and I am looking for all over, then what should I do? So recognize that I already am the seeker of the keys, is the possessor of the keys. There's a beautiful story, the example given. So the husband got a small golden chain, and the golden chain the wife gave with all the love, and he was wearing, and he wanted to show off that his wife gave that beautiful chain. So he goes all the way 4 miles, walking all the way to his friend's house, with a close friend, and he shows, hey, look at this chain my wife gave me yesterday, it's so beautiful. So the friend also looks at it, hey, it's very good, you're very lucky. So all that, and they went on talking all other things, and after half an hour of talk, he went back home. Then when he reached home, he recognized that he doesn't have the chain anymore. He could not see the chain, and he thought maybe I left it there, and he knows that his wife gave me so much love, and he was concerned that if he has dropped it or he has left it in the friend's house. So he ran all the way to his friend's house and says, what happened? Says, I must have left the chain here, because we are talking about the chain, and when you are looking at it, maybe I must have left it here because I don't see it. So the student says, let me see, and when he found out, looked for in his neck, there was a chain hidden in the clothes. Therefore the chain was already there, but he did not see, therefore he thought he lost the chain. So now what happened? Yeah, he is happy that he got the chain. Now let us ask the question, was that 4 miles of running necessary to discover the chain? But the question is, he was agitated, and if you say it was necessary, you say it's not necessary because he is already having the chain, he never lost it. So if we say it is necessary, then the answer did not be right. If we say it's not necessary, then also the answer is wrong, because he is agitated, he could not find it, and is worried, and therefore it has to go and run. So the correct answer is 4 miles of running is necessary to discover that 4 miles of running is not necessary. The same way, all sadhanas are necessary to discover, or preparation of the mind and everything is necessary. All these 4-fold qualifications are all necessary to discover that I am already free, whether the mind is free or not. So this becomes an important. Swami Chinmayananda used to give a simple story. So there was in the North India, there's a pagadis were there. They are very innocent people. So they used to carry from one place to other place, and they used to have mules, and they used to put their luggage and go there to the other village, sell them, and bring something back from them. This is how they used to live. And in the Himalayas, we don't know when it will snow and when it will not snow. So one pagadi, he was taking his mules with all the luggage, and when he was going through some of those hills, suddenly it started snowing. So he started worrying. He said, what am I going to do with these mules? Because they may get lost and they cannot. So he looked around and saw an ashram there. So he took those mules there, says, let's see, because it's getting night, we can rest here, tomorrow morning I can go. So he went, put the mules outside, and went to see the Swami there, and told Swamiji, sir, I have the mule, I was going to go, and it started snowing, and I brought the mules, what should I do? He said, don't worry, keep the mules, tie them there, and take a bath and have something to eat and sleep. Tomorrow morning you can go. That's what the Swami said. He said, that's very good. And he went to tie the mules. Then he discovered that he forgot the ropes to tie, and also the pegs to which he can nail them to the ground. That also he forgot. So what should I do? He says, hey, come on, lie down, lie down, lie down. He was telling each mule, but they will not lie down. They were just looking at him, what do you expect? You are not tying us here. So he ran to the Swami and says, Swamiji, I'm having a problem. The mules are not lying down. Say, what's the problem? Say, I forgot to bring the rope, and I forgot to tie them, and I'm worried, and they may go and drift all over. Then Swamiji thought about it. So he said, do one thing. You pretend that you have the plug points where the pegs are there, where you can nail it. Pretend and make a noise, and pretend as though you have a rope, and tie those mules, and then ask them to lie down. Says, pretend? What is this? You don't know, but Swamiji is saying these great Mahatmas these are all great people. So he went and pretended as though he's doing tuck, 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 tuck. Each peg he nailed it down and took the thread and tie the mules as though pretending, and asked them to lie down. Then the mule says, why didn't you do that before? How can we lie down unless we are tied down? They tied down, felt, and then they slept. So he says, my God, these Mahatmas must be very great. So he went back and told that they are sleeping. So he took bath and took his food and slept. And next day morning, he took leave of the Swami and just came out. He says, get up, get up. They won't get up again. He says, what's the problem? He says, they are not getting up. So he went back to Swamiji. Says, Swamiji, they are not getting. He says, did you untie them? What do you mean untie? There is no tie itself to start with. He says, you stupid fellow, they think that they have been tied. Now you have to pretend as though you are untying them and then remove the plug and they will follow. So he went back again. He went through the process of untying and remove the plug and then say, come on, let's go. Then they started moving. So this is a mules who are not tied, but they thought they are tied, and therefore untying is necessary for the mules to be free. We are like a mules. We think we are tied. Therefore, untying is necessary until to discover that we are free even before also. So therefore, a process is required, knowledge is required, and what is knowledge? Yeah, I am Nitya Mukta Swarupaha. I am eternally free. And that's why when the seeker and the sought are one and the same, when the seeker and the sought are one and the same, any seeking on the part of the seeker is going to fail, because in the very seeking itself, he has resolved that the sought is not there where the seeker is. He is looking for all over, and he is looking for freedom. He wants to go somewhere else and do anywhere else, or do all this and all other process, but the very process are not going to do, because he is already free. So therefore, what is required is a knowledge, a realization. That means reanalysis is required. It's a self-realization, that is where I had to re-evaluate my judgment about myself and the world. And that is the process. In order to do that, my mind has to be prepared. So the preparation is not to gain moksha. All sadhanas are not to gain moksha, but preparation is to prepare the mind. So chittasya suddhaye karma nato vastu upalabhye. So therefore, mind is, all the activities that we do is only for the preparation of the mind. Chitta suddhi means purification of the mind. And Yogina karma kurvanti sangham chakva atma suddhaye. So all yogis perform the actions with an attitude of purification of the mind, not to gain something or to lose something. This is the essence of essentially karma yoga, and that is the essence of preparation of the mind. And therefore, what is the liberation? Liberation is what is needed is pure knowledge. So brahmatma ikyatva bodhena moksha siddhati na anyatha. So therefore, that is the liberation. So all of the acharyas define, you have to go Vaikuntha, or you go somewhere. If I am going somewhere, then work has to be done. But if the going somewhere and it's not here, it is somewhere else, then it is limited by desham also, limited by space, limited by time. But what is moksha is limitless, alone is moksha. Therefore, that Brahma Atma Aikyatma means I am infinite by myself has to be recognized. It is a recognition by firm understanding, a clear understanding. Where the understanding has to come? In the mind only. Therefore, since that study of scripture is required, it is not the scriptural study for scripture's sake. One can become a pandit by studying the scriptures, and one can become an expert and give quotations and all that. The Vivekam Chudamani gives a warning, says you be careful. It's not, you are not studying scriptures to become an expert in scriptures and give talks. This is essentially Vakvaikhari Sabdajari Shastra Vakyanu Kaushalam Vaidushyam Vidusha Tadvatu Bhuktaye Nadu Muktaye. So this is, you have to study of scriptures not to give just a talks or do say I know this or say I am an expert in this also. It's not meant for that. It is a recognition or realization that I am infinite by myself. In infinity, there is no distinctions of any kind. Sajati, Vijati, Swagata, Beda, Rahitam. And therefore, it is beyond any distinctions of any type. And that is essentially what the liberation. All other things are essentially a preparation itself. And this is, sannyasa is required. Some people say, sannyasa is what? Tyagainaiki amritattva manasuhu. I need to give up something. What is a real sannyasa is essentially giving up the wrong notions about myself. I am only limited. That is the wrong notion. Because I do not know myself, I take the body, mind, intellect as myself, and that causes a problem. And therefore, taking a sannyasa ashrama itself is not there. It is not necessary. It may helpful to avoid all other extravagant indulgence in the sense objects. So therefore, one has to be careful. Shankaracharya says, Jatilo mundi lonchita keshaha kashayambara bahukruta keshaha pasyannapi pasyati mudo hridaya nimittam bahukruta kesha. Even taking up sannyasa is also hridaya nimitram, only for the sake of stomach. If you do it, then that's also another bondage only. So therefore, that in understanding of clear understanding is required. This knowledge can only be gained through proper teaching, because I have wrong notions, and the wrong notions has to be correctly removed, and the logic doesn't appeal here, pratyaksha pramana doesn't appeal, only shastra pramana is applicable. Shastra where it teaches, where you subject and object, this has to be one and the same, or the bottom line is one. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says Jiva Isha Yoho Veshadibita Sattva Bhavato Vastu Kevalam. In the Upadesasara, the essence of Brahmatmaikatva Bodham, Atma Brahma oneness, he teaches in a very simple way. It says Isha Jiva Yoho. The difference between the Ishvara and the Jiva, Isha Jiva Yoho Veshadibita. Only the outward costume is different, the appearance is different. Isha Jiva Yoho Veshadibita Sattva Bhavato. Essence of both is one and the same. From the point of Sat is the existence point. It is that undifferentiated. It is one Kevalam, that is one alone, and that's what is essentially the Brahmatmaikatva Bodham. That is essentially what Vedanta teaches also. And that we will go into more details. Now we'll stop here. Go with the Purnamada Sloka. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.